Today, we're diving into the controversy surrounding transgender women in sports, specifically powerlifter Ann Andres. In 2023, Ann Andres, a 40-year-old transgender woman, competed in the Women's Canadian Powerlifting Union Western Championship and set a new unofficial record. She lifted a combined 1,317 pounds in squat, bench press, and deadlift, outperforming her closest competitor, Sujan Gill, by 463 pounds and setting multiple Canadian and unofficial world records for women. April Hutchinson, a former record holder and once called Canada's strongest woman, criticized Ann Andres' participation, attributing her success to being biologically male. April expressed frustration, mentioning that top athletes have trained for years to achieve these records. April shared on her Instagram that she faced a 2-year suspension from the Canadian Powerlifting Union for publicly expressing her views on the unfairness of a biological male being allowed to compete against female competitors.
Hi, my name is April Hutchinson. I'm a competitive powerlifter with the Canadian Powerlifting Union. 2 days ago, we saw a biological male literally crush the women's masters powerlifting category by almost 500 pounds, taking away the national records, also the second highest deadlift in powerlifting history. So men don't have an advantage, right? Okay. It's so important to keep women and girls sports fair and safe. We need to use our voices, men and women, to let everyone know that fairness and safety has to be top priority of every federation. Any woman, man, or federation that supports men lifting or competing with women is part of the problem, and they should be ashamed, and they are literally helping erase women's sports. So I ask you, please use your voice. You will not be silenced. It is imperative to speak up.
And then went on to threaten us and said that we should, die a very painful death.
Here's what he posted on Instagram.
That effing terrible human being from Ontario makes profits off of hate. The same effing week a human child is killed for being trans, that self-righteous bitch, sorry for gendered insults, I'm pretty angry right now, goes and talks about how a trans basketball player is hurting women by playing. You don't give a F about women. You care about hate and making a quick buck off of it. You effing sicken me and you promote this kind of thing. There is no hell, but times like this, I wish there was, so you and Smith can spend eternity suffering. Anyone who supports the Ontario lifter and is just as effed up as she is, spend some time actually thinking about the people around you instead of just yourself. May your generation die painfully and leave the youth to inherit a better world. The rules for transgender women in powerlifting are controversial. The Canadian Powerlifting Union allows individuals to compete in their identified gender category without needing hormone replacement therapy or even proof of being transgender. This policy has raised concerns about the fairness of a trans woman competing against cisgender women. Some argue that trans women who have gone through male puberty have a physical advantage over cisgender female competitors. Transgender women can now compete in the Women's USA powerlifting competitions following a court ruling. There is a significant difference between the women's and men's world records for powerlifting. For example, in the deadlift, the men's record exceeds 1,100 pounds, while the women's record is 700 pounds, which is why some people believe Ann Andres had an advantage of being a biological male. Avi Silverberg, a biological male and head coach for the Canada powerlifting team, allegedly protested the rules allowing trans women to compete against biological women in powerlifting by entering himself into the Women's Heroes Classic tournament in Canada. He bench pressed nearly 370 pounds, surpassing Ann Andres' record by almost 100 pounds. Ann Andres believed Avi entered the women's competition with malicious intent.
Just a super quick update. Yes, somebody did show up at the meet today with malicious intent. And you know what? It was nothing. It was just entirely ignored. People lifted. I volunteered. Everyone was happy that I was there. And it really struck me that maybe my participation isn't necessarily fair. I mean, there's science, whatever. But people welcome me because I'm actually nice to people. I show up and I try to make everyone happy. And I think that matters a hell of a lot more than people give it credit for. People want me there because I'm actually nice to people. Just a little thought. I'm all good, and the CPU will continue, and be nice to each other.
Avi Silverberg has not publicly commented on the situation. Now, Ann describes herself as a tranny freak in a video, has faced backlash not only for her participation, but also for her comments questioning why women are so bad at bench press, which many found disrespectful.
Why is women's bench so bad? I mean, not compared to me. We all know that I'm a tranny freak, so that doesn't count. I know we're not talking about Mackenzie Lee. She's got little T-Rex arms and she's like 400 pounds of chest muscle, apparently. I mean, standard bench in powerlifting competition for women, I literally don't understand why it's so bad.
Ann Andres also compared the treatment of transgender athletes to the discrimination faced by Black people.
The one that you choose to stand with in the fight for fairness in sport. You know what she does? She goes out and she decides to take up the mantle of a trans player is hurting natal people in basketball. On the same week that a minority is killed, that is her thing. And you know what's cool? You know what's really cool about that? The same argument was being used to keep Black people out of sports. Oh, well, they're so much bigger, they're gonna hurt our white people.
Andres had a lot to say, but she did admit on a Instagram live that maybe she did have an advantage.
And it really struck me that maybe my participation isn't necessarily fair. I mean, there's science, whatever.
What do you think about the situation? Whose side are you on? Do you believe it's fair for transgender women to compete against cisgender women? Make sure to leave your comments below and make sure to like and subscribe for more discussions on QueerSit.